Let's talk about animation in ParaView. There are three different ways you can create animations in ParaView. First, you can animate any property of any pipeline object. Let me give you an example. Here I will start from scratch. I will go into sources, alphabetical, and I will bring up an object. So let me select super quadratic. And this will give me a torus. Let me make it higher resolution. For example, theta resolution was going to be 50 and phi resolution is going to be 50 as well. Click on apply. And now one of the properties of this torus is its thickness. So if I change its thickness and I'm going to hit apply, you will see that it's going to be thicker. Now let me use this property for animation. I will go into View, Animation View, and this open this dialog. And here I'll actually drag it right here so that it snaps into my main ParaView window. Like that. And then here I choose my torus, super quadratic, and then I'm going to modify the thickness. So these are the properties of my torus, and I will choose thickness. And then I click on plus. That will create a timeline. I will double click on it. And then here time goes from 0 to 1. The current thickness is 0.33. Let me actually change the value, let's say from 0.1 to something bigger like 0.5. So I'm going to click on OK. And then another thing that I want to modify is the number of frames. So right now it's 10. If I play back 10 frames, then they will play back very quickly. So let me change it to, let's say, 300. I hit enter. And now I click on this play button right here at the top. And as you can see, my sphere is getting thicker very slowly because it takes time to render each frame. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pause and then rewind, go to the beginning. And then where it says number of frames, I'm going to say, let's say 50. Hit enter. And now let's play back. So now you can see that the torus is getting thicker. Here we go. Let's also change its opacity. Right here in the properties, again, the torus, super quadratic object. In the properties, let's click on opacity and then click on plus. And then I will double click on the opacity timeline. And now let's say for the second half of the movie, so going from 0.5 to 1, my opacity is going to be changing from 1 to 0. So that means that the torus is going to be disappearing. So I'm going to say OK. And then you see that the timeline now shows that my opacity is changing from the middle of the movie towards the end. So let me rewind and then play back. So now my thickness is increasing. And then now it's still increasing and the torus is disappearing. If you want to save this animation, probably you want to increase the number of frames. Let's make it 300. And then I'll hit enter. And then I'll go to File, Save Animation right here. And then here you have a few choices. Unfortunately, there is no MPEG-4 or QuickTime or any modern file format. And I think the reason for that is probably licensing, most likely. So the best option, in my opinion, is to use PNG images. It will generate, in this case, 300 images, and then you can merge them into a movie. So I'm going to choose PNG, desktop, and then here I'm going to say frame, and then all of them are going to be called frame some number.png. So let me click OK. And then it asks for image resolution and then compression level for each PNG. So all the usual things. I'll just accept the default. And now, as you can see, it's playing back the animation. It's actually not refreshing my visualization window nicely, but it's still saving the animation. So I can see the progress bar. In desktop, if I do ls, you will actually see that it is saving frames. So it did more than half of the job already. And now it's done. You can actually hear the fans in my laptop kicking in. So let me go back to my desktop in the terminal. And then if I do ls frame, you can see that there are 300 files from 0000 to 0299. And then I can actually merge this into a movie. There are many tools for doing this. And the tool that I really recommend is ffmpeg. It's open source and multi-platform. You can download it for Mac, Linux, Windows. And we also have ffmpeg installed on HPC clusters. So the way you use it, let me just paste the line. And this line is also included into a file called clipbot.txt in the zip download. So here what I'm doing is I'm saying ffmpeg. And of course, you have to have ffmpeg installed on your computer. I'm going to be encoding at 30 frames per second. So 300 frames means I will have a 10-second long movie. And then the frames are called frame dot and then a 4-digit number .png. And then I am using this file format. So this encoder, I need to supply the name of the file, torus.mpeg4, and I will hit enter. Oops. And I'm actually missing here the closing quote. So now it's creating that file. And as you can see, there is frame. So now we're done, 300 frames. Let's do ls-l on this torus file. And as you can see, it's actually tiny. It's a movie which is 10 seconds long and 141 kilobytes in size. So if I open it, I'll say open torus. And here it is. Actually scale it. And then I play it back. And here we go. So the entire movie is 141 kilobytes. And now the torus is disappearing. Let me delete the frames because I certainly don't want to have all these frame PNGs in my desktop folder. So you might ask, why is this useful? Why do we want to animate properties of a pipeline object? Well, remember that when you apply filters, any property of a filter can be used for animation. Let me give you an example. Let's go back to ParaView and let me click on disconnect from the server, confirm. And I will load a file that is called signenvelope.nc. So I'm going to use the netcdf reader. I'll say OK, and then hit apply. So this is a mathematical function inside a unit cube. And this is what it looks like on the outside. We have a single variable called density. So let's apply a clip filter. So I'm going to say clip, apply, and then I want to apply clip in the XY, within XY plane. So it's going to be perpendicular to the Z axis. Let's just set the normal to 001, say apply, like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'll be creating an animation moving the position of the clipping plane. So I'm going to say view, animation view, and then the clip. What I'm going to be animating is, because the Z axis is pointing towards me, so I'll be animating one of these origin points. So origin 0 is X, origin 1 is Y, and origin 2 is Z. And I want to be animating in origin 2 Z. And then I click on plus, double click on the timeline. So here time goes from 0 to 1, and then the value goes from 0 to 99. I'll confirm. And then I want to have, let's say, 30 frames. And then let's play back the movie. So here we have an animation. And as you can see, it takes some time to play it back. And this is because it takes a fraction of a second to render each frame. And well, there's nothing you can do here. You just need a more powerful computer. Let me do 300 frames. And then I'm going to go to File, Save Animation. And then I will save it in the desktop directory. Again, I'm going to call each one of them a frame. Then say OK. Confirm the resolution. And actually, let's change the resolution to something squared. Let's say 742 by 742. And then I'll say OK. And then let's wait for it to finish. Now, this took about a couple of minutes. And here I have, again, 300 frames. And I'm going to use the same ffmpeg command that I used before. And I'm going to call the file clip.mpeg4. So it's 300 frames. And the file is roughly 0.5 MB. So let me play it back. Here's the file. And if I play it back, you see that it's actually a very nice animation. 300 frames, 10 seconds, 0.5 MB file size. And you probably want to adjust the zoom level so you can actually fit the entire animation inside the frame.